everyone and welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, welcome. I'm Ellie, I'm a first year going into second year law student studying at Royal Holloway, University of London. So today I want to talk about something that is quite important, but first a PSA. I am having a chill evening and trying to get some content done while I can because I have quite a busy weekend and start of next week because I'm working, and so I'm trying to get quite a bit done in one go. And as well, I do still have handy dandy scripts available just to make sure I don't miss anything. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with what is the backbone of my routine and what helps me stay planned for the whole semester and year as a whole, and that is my weekly reset. So this is, like I said, the backbone of how I stay organised. So every Sunday evening, mainly, if I've got stuff on, I do it in the morning. There's no strict time, but I do try to sit down every Sunday at some point with my planner, Notion, and my calendar and just look ahead at what's coming up, things I might have missed off my planner or calendar that I need to add in, and just sort of checking everything's all smooth sailing. So for me, when I use my calendar, I just try and time block every important thing I have. So my calendar mainly includes any sort of big social event I have coming up, whether that's my boyfriend coming from Loughborough for the weekend. I make sure that's in my calendar to know not to book work. I have my work shifts in my calendar, rugby matches and training, and then also my lectures and seminars and exams. And the way I do it is I try colour coordinated, so I have blue for social, green for sport and fitness and like the gym as well, purple for work, and then red for my exams and deadlines. And then I just try and keep my sort of lectures and seminars a neutral colour, or like a colour I just sort of started to blank so it just blends in with my calendar. Because I do normally know my timetable, it's just a case of making sure it's on there so I don't book anything at the wrong times. So yeah, colour coding is probably my biggest thing for my calendar. Everything has to be colour coded or else I just make an absolute mess of it. So I 10 out of 10 recommend it. It helps keep everything segmented, and just so you know what's going on and when, and you don't even have to look at the names of it, you can just see the colours on the days. So I also do try and make sure I review and keep on top of my deadlines. I usually do this when I'm at uni by putting them on sort of my pinboard. Like if I have just a piece of paper that has my deadlines written down, I can then tick off when they're done and tick off when they're handed in, just so I know everything's in order and it's like right in front of me when I wake up, so I'm forced to look at it. And then what else? I do my 3 weekly priorities, and my 3 weekly priorities are, like, if I've got deadlines, I'll usually sit down and say, right, I want to get this essay planned, or this essay starting to write it, and I want to make sure I've got seminar work for this done because it's quite heavy, so I want to do that pretty early on. So I try not to keep a rigid, structured calendar. I try and make it a bit flexible, just because that allows me then to maintain my social life in case my friends make spontaneous plans, and also so it doesn't become too overwhelming pretty early on. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it in terms of my calendar. So we will go on to the next thing. So let's now zoom into a daily level of how I go about my day and how I plan it. So what I tend to do is just out of the morning make sure I check my planner. I try and at the top of each day do my 3 things I want to do in that day, whether that's clean my room, go food shopping, or go to the library and do some work there. I just try and make sure I set 3 goals for the day just to get done. It makes everything seem less overwhelming, especially when I put them in terms like tidy my room, because it sounds so basic and so easy. I don't look at it and think, oh my god, that's a day full of stuff. I also heavily rely on my to-do lists just to make sure that I'm doing everything I'm meant to do, and also Notion. My Notion is pretty jam-packed, and I think I have about 6 or 7 different planners / journals that I have, and off the top of my head I'm going to try and think of them because I am recording on my iPad which has my Notion on it. but it is my Bible study / Christian journal, which I sort of write down and keep track of my Bible study, and sort of make a thing where I can correlate different verses with my sort of moods, so I can just go back and look at it when I need some advice or some sort of guidance. I have my wellness journal, which lets me track my fitness, my water intake and my calories. My budgeting journal, which again I'm tracking my daily budgets, just making sure I'm on top of those. Ooh, what else have I got? I've got a content tracker, and obviously my university planner, which is sort of a digital version of my deadline piece of paper that's just stuck to my wall. So yeah, as you can tell, I'm quite meticulous in my planning, and I try and make sure that everything has somewhere to be put digitally, and both digitally and physically. So yeah. I do also try and make sure I have a realistic schedule. I know from what I've just said, it may... Ooh, my... Sorry. I know from what I just said, it does sound a lot like I try and jam pack a day, but I do try and mix and match what I'm doing. So if I've had a full-on day at the library doing a lot of content and reading and note-taking, and my lectures have been pretty heavy that day, this sounds bad, but I will probably not do Bible study of the evening and instead prioritise something physical, like going to the gym or going on a little run, or planning a day where my morning consists of lectures and library, and my evening will be rugby training, just so it balances out and I'm getting both a mental sort of workout in a day and a physical workout in a day. And then I do also make sure that one day a week is pretty empty or like easygoing, and that day might just be running errands, doing bits and bobs for assignments. Usually that day is where I do a lot of Bible study, so that will usually include doing annotations in my Bible, and then also doing my reflective and sort of gratitude practices. So yeah, I usually do try and keep a chill day, and that is also my day where I usually track my food, fitness, water, and make sure I've put everything in there properly, and just sort of reevaluate in case I've missed anything off my notions and my planners. So yeah, that is how I tend to manage it and make it less daunting and overwhelming. And my pro tip for sort of doing this is also keeping a brain dump section somewhere, which is like a messy list or a messy piece of paper, usually just like a scrap piece of paper I've got, and I just jot down anything that pops into my head at the moment that I don't forget, but I don't really have the time to like unpack my bag and sort of write down a notion straight away. Okay, step 3 / part 3, mindset and staying consistent. So I think I personally have found out that planning only works if your mindset backs it up, and one thing I found that is the biggest like stepping stone in that is not aiming for perfection, but aiming for consistency instead. So this includes not beating yourself up when things slip. Things do happen. I've had days where I've had a jam-packed day planned and I've ended up doing nothing because I've been called into work the day before and worked about 10-12 hours sometimes, and then I'm just not in the mood to do like a full-on day of revision and heavy lifting afterwards because I'm just knocked off my feet. Also making sure I'm staying adaptable, especially in uni where everyone wants to be sort of spontaneous and do day trips. Just making sure that if like something does slip through the cracks, like I skipped a content session that I wanted to do in the library on my own because my friends all wanted to up and go to Richmond or go out exploring somewhere, that I can easily transfer that and move it around. So just making sure I have like a bit of a day somewhere where it's like, okay, I didn't get that done today, let's do it this day instead, which just lets me be at ease knowing I haven't missed anything and I can easily make it up. And finally, use a system that suits your energy and your sort of mental capacity, not just your time. If you know you get mentally or physically drained quite quickly, don't fill your schedule to the brim from 9 till like 10 p.m, 9 a.m. till 10 p.m, because that is just going to kill you off within 2-3 days. Instead, start if you want to get like that, start small. Set yourself 3 or 4 tasks a day that are like an hour to 2 hours max, and then slowly build from there until you can have this jam-packed schedule that you want. I don't recommend it. I think everyone deserves at least like 2-3 hours in your day to chill, take a break, get something to eat, just reset, relax, because days at uni can be very full on. So yeah, just make sure you're matching your energy to your schedule and not matching. Make sure you're matching your schedule to your energy and not vice versa, because that is when you will burn out and probably break down and combust like I did. So, part 4, tools I use. So I use a range of tools and I'm still figuring out what works best for me. But I do use my phone calendar to keep track of things on my phone. I love that because it's so easy to whip up, especially at work. Sometimes I get asked on the spot, like, can you do this day? And I can't really be like, oh, I don't know. It's easy to just be like, I can just check my phone and see what I've got on and whether I can do it there and then, because that way I don't risk losing a shift or I don't risk booking a shift that I actually cannot do. And then Notion for pretty much all my tracking needs, like anything I want to track and keep an eye on, I use Notion for. Notes for my to-do list / like blurt in, or pieces of paper. I find pieces of paper quite good for like actually writing it down, because sometimes I have those feelings where I'm like, I know I need to do something and I can't think what it is, and I'm like, I know I wrote it down somewhere, and then I can figure it out and find that piece of paper. And then things like timers or sort of, you know, those study tracking apps. There's one where you can grow a tree. I love that one, and I can't think of the name of it, but grow a tree. I love growing trees. It's sort of what I use for my revision to stop me from getting distracted or sort of procrastinating. It basically limits your screen time, and if you pick up and use your phone during that revision session, you kill a tree, but if you do the whole revision session, you grow a tree. I love it. I have a garden. It's great. And it's a garden I can look after because I can't water plants. So yeah, that's great. And then finally, whiteboard for your original planning process. I swear by my whiteboard when I'm planning my week or my month or my term, because I do just write everything I have and like anything I need to do within that semester if we've already been given like a rough idea on deadlines, because a lot of the time I get given deadlines for my assignments before I'm actually given my assignments. So I'll know when something's due, but I won't know what is due yet, which is so weird, but I can write down the deadlines and just make sure I know that there's a run up to something. So yeah, that is probably the main things I've figured out in my first year and behind the scenes of how I plan my life as a student and now a content creator / trying to be a micro influencer, which is so weird. I still can't figure out if it's cringy or not, but yeah, it's not necessarily about being this monster of a student that's eternally productive, never stops for a minute, always on the go. It's more about being intentional with your time and being kind to yourself while staying on track. I'm going to leave it with the fact that you can revise for 5 hours, but because you've burnt yourself out, nothing goes in. Or you could do 30 minutes of scheduled, planned revision time with a purpose, and you will learn so much more in those 30 minutes than those 5 hours. So, if this helped, give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments what your go-to planning methods are and what you are struggling most about with uni or the thought of uni. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more uni and lifestyle content. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!
Oh.